Alright, what is up, man? Third replay. Definitely excited to get back into this. Oh, I haven't seen this before. Interesting poison touch, but we're going to talk about a few things. So I think you mentioned that I wasn't going to like your item build in this game. I believe. I can't remember for sure, but yeah, this is not good. Orb of Venom a while ago got nerfed, where it's worse on ranged heroes, but that's not really even the point. The thing is, what is important to note about poison touch is that you need to be sustaining in the lane in order to actually get effectiveness out of it, meaning you need to be able to trade effectively or else you lose value in poison touch. So buying an Orb of Venom to do more tick damage is actually ineffective because you're able to do less tick damage because you can't trade as often. Because you won't ever have mana for your heal, like when you if without clarities and mangoes, you'll just be low mana. Just in general, you're going to lack the ability to trade properly, which is just not what you want. Alright, that TP is kind of meh in my opinion. The reason I don't like TPs like this, on a hero like Dazzle, especially in a lane where you could die to something like a Clockwork, you need to be careful because if you do end up dying, it's just a scary situation to be in. Like here, right, if you just die right away here, okay, you could have died there maybe if you hit that cog. Then you're just stuck and your Terrorblade has to solo the lane. Okay. So what I want to know in this lane is how you play it. So there's a few important things to take into consideration. First off, if I was you, I'm assuming you don't have control over this Enigma player. Unless this is your friend. Oh, you do? Okay, this is a stack. So first off, what I would say is, even though they're tri-laning, you really don't want an Enigma in a tri-lane. If you're going to pick Enigma, this is just something for... I know you talked about, like, team play, so I'm just going to go over this briefly. But when you have an Enigma, you don't want to tri-lane with the hero. What the Enigma should be doing 100% of the time is denying this creep, denying the range creep, which will allow Ursa to have a god tier game. Basically, if he is denying every single range creep, this Dragonite, which is already in a hard matchup, is going to get completely crushed in terms of levels and XP. And then what you guys can do is just play it safe, and basically if you pull while the Terrorblade gets levels, he can just eventually jungle, and the Ursa will be able to control the pace of the game because he will have such a good game, and the Enigma will be jungling, right? Instead, you just have a Malefice Enigma, which is terrible. It's one of the worst level 1 spell. Okay, not one of the worst, but it's just not a good tri-lane hero. Very bad damage, low movement speed, and you need XP, so he should be jungling for team items. Alright, you just can't run Enigma like this. It doesn't work. So all that you guys can do in this lane is pull. Like that is strictly all you can do, simply because you have an Enigma. So it looks like your Enigma's pulling. This isn't bad, but this is what you should be doing instead, right? And the reason you don't want to run a tri-lane always into a tri-lane, like it might be like, oh, they have 3 heroes. We need to have 3 heroes or else we're going to get run over. Why is that not always the case? Right? You need to look at Dota a little bit differently. You can't look at it as just a numbers game. You need to look at it like in the large picture. And in this case, you need to say, okay, what does my Terrorblade need in order to come back? Let's say because he's going to have a bad lane, most likely, if they continue up this tri-lane and they pressure him and maybe even get some kills on him. So what does he need to come back? And that's purely levels. All he needs is levels. Alright, you don't need a Blightstone. This is overkill. Your first item 100% needs to be a magic stick, if anything, so that you can just spam more spells from the side shop. But what your Terrorblade needs, as I was saying, is levels. If he is going to come back into this game, he needs levels. And what produces levels? Solo pulling and giving him solo XP. So by you pulling the camp, you're going to allow him to get pretty much full XP from the wave, so that when he eventually retreats to the jungle, okay, not a bad heal, pretty solid actually. I didn't get first blood, but not bad, not bad. That wasn't too bad. It was a good bait play by you. Dazzle's actually very strong in situations like this. Their tri-lane is actually terrible as well. They also have the same issue. Spirit Breaker is one of the worst tri-lane heroes in Dota. In fact, he has a Quelling Blade for some reason. Is he the core, I guess? I guess he's the core. I don't know. But it's some dumb stuff. But basically, what you want to do to win this lane is pull. Just pull endlessly. The fact that they didn't block your pull camp is a blessing. Like, I literally can't stress this enough. The fact that your pull camp exists when they are tri-laning in an aggro tri-lane against the Terrorblade is a blessing. Like, because all you need to do to win this lane is let Terrorblade hit creeps under tower and get XP, so that like somewhat early into the game he can just leave and jungle. Simple as that. And then if your Enigma is denying top lane, your Ursa, who is already winning his lane, but not by that much actually. If we look at last hits and denies, is actually not doing too well. And he would be crushing, easily crushing, if Enigma was denying his top wave, and Enigma would be able to have a lot more farm and levels if he was just jungling the camps over here by denying the camps. So if you guys are going to run Enigma, which I do recommend you do, I think it's one of the strongest heroes in Dota, especially team play Dota. It's a really nice hero to be able to play around. Then consider what I'm saying. So you haven't pulled yet. Basically, okay, I'm going to go over pulling. This is what you need to consider. At 1 minute, you can pull, right? So I recommend if you cannot pull at 1 minute, you need to instantly deward the camp. Even I would recommend starting the lane with the sentry instead of Orb of Venom, which is garbage, to be perfectly honest. You need a sentry so that in a tri lane like this, you can prep the camp and see if there's a ward there. Because all that matters in this lane is that there's a pull camp. I will continue saying this because it is the truth. It is all that matters. Because this is just, it's a hard lane. That's it. So after that, at 155, you want to look to double the camp. Now, if your Terrorblade has no lane at all, and he really needs you to pull ASAP, like at the 1 minute mark, or 130, I should say, then that's what you do. But instead, what you guys are doing is battling. What you need to be doing is either stacking the pull camp at 155, or pulling at 130, like approximately 130. It's not exactly 130. It's before that, or something like that. All right, looks like he'll pick up Spirit Breaker kill as well. Oh, you need to back up earlier there. Definitely, yeah, you need to consider what the Clockwork can do to you there. Not much I can say besides that. But basically, by you tri-laning, you're denying and not pulling as much as you should be. You're denying your Terrorblade's ability to catch up if he falls behind, right? Because he only has 14 CS. Now, he has 2 kills and 2 assists, which is good. He's probably somewhat high up, relatively. But this number doesn't matter that much right now. What matters is this number right above his head, which is levels. So yeah, as a support, I'm just going to say this one more time. What you need to be doing right now is, first of all, buying more tangos, like 6 tangos, maybe even a salve, clarity, and a sentry ward to start the game, if you have enough for it, right? If you have enough for it. So that when your Terrorblade gets dove, you can salve him, so you can block the camp. I mean, deward the camp if they block it. Alright, this looks good. Yep, so you can deward the camp, and so you can sustain your Terrorblade, because that is your purely your purpose. In a lane where you do not have kill potential, where they're going to try lane you, that is your purpose. And a hero like Terrorblade doesn't necessarily pressure the lane that well. Of course, he can a little bit with meta, but against a lot of magical damage heroes, not as much. So I'm a little bit surprised they're not even trying to kill the Terrorblade right now, because they have a level 5 Clockwork, which is super scary for Terrorblade. Okay. So you'll notice, like, just with these items, you're always out of mana. Like, you don't need these items. That's not what your hero is meant for. It's not to do extra damage, right? I understand maybe you're playing around Poison Touch, but this ability does enough damage as is. These 2 items barely amp it, like almost nothing. It's literally almost nothing. It's kind of sad. So yeah, you pick up a stick, but I'm assuming you probably haven't bought a lot of ward. Yeah, these are 2 in stock. So like, you're not buying wards because you're just buying all these other items that don't really matter. You know, I don't even think wards matter that much necessarily this early. This looks like a mess. Alright, he'll probably kill him, but oh, never mind. Oh boy. Is that warded? What? How did they see you? They actually have that warded? No. Okay. But yeah, your purpose is to, like, you want something like boots and a stick. And then I would always carry like a clarity on me, basically. So I always have the ability to just heal, walk around, heal. Because you guys could be just crushing this game if you gave the Enigma farm by letting him jungle. And like he's even doing okay. It could be doing better for sure. He's doing like relatively well. This is all right. Look like mid loss. There's not much you can do about that. But this is where this shouldn't be the case. Basically, you guys could have turned the whole game around by simply giving the Ursa better lane by denying his range creeps. What would happen is because the creeps denied, the Ursa could play the lane. Instead of playing it here, where he can't pressure the DK, the lane would be here, where he can literally run at the DK endlessly, and there's nothing the DK can do about it. Literally nothing. And then because they have a Clockwork Spirit Breaker tri-lane, 2 heroes that aren't strong until they get levels, at least in the sense that like going for kills. Clockwork's like okay at level 2, but not really. It's not too good because Terrorblade can just sit in the wave or sit behind it and use creep aggro. But basically, if you guys give this Ursa a free game, he can control the tempo. But instead, you just kind of chuck your Enigma in the bottom lane, which ends up doing, it does basically nothing besides like saps XP. And now your Terrorblade's like still hitting lane creeps, which this is just like, he doesn't need to be hitting lane creeps right now. He could be giving you the farm or, alright, this looks good. Okay. To be a little bit careful. Okay, let's go back to player perspective. But hopefully that makes sense about team play. Like where if you have the ability to enable one of your players so hard that they can control the pace of the game, it doesn't really matter if your Terrorblade has some god tier start because he'll have so much time to catch up because Ursa will have a good game, right? By enabling one player, like it looks like a really good Ursa game, right? He can purge and rage. He can kill pretty much everyone here, right? Kills these strength heroes very easily. Basically, it's a good Ursa game, and he has a good lane, and you have an Enigma. And Enigma loves to play with Ursa in lane because Ursa just wants levels, especially when he's against like these strength heroes. This guy has Sunder. Alright. He needs to Sunder. Alright, probably the wrong Sunder target, but not terrible, all in all. Okay, I mean, this wasn't too bad. Oh, careful. Oh, jeez. Alright, yeah. Now, at this point in the game, like, what I would recommend you guys do, and the reason I don't really like what you're doing right now, is basically when you are playing with a Terrorblade or a hero like Terrorblade, such as AM, PA, Spectre, all heroes that just want to farm and then maybe show up to a fight, you don't always want to bring the attention to them. Now, these kills are okay for Terrorblade. Like, it's good that you guys are playing around him and he's having a decent game. To be perfectly honest, a lot of this comes down to the enemy team playing the engagements wrong, and you guys are playing them pretty well as well. But what's important to note is that wherever you go as the supports, if you bring 3 heroes to the bottom lane, they are more inclined to bring 3 heroes to the bottom lane, which means that there's 3 heroes running at a Terrorblade. Now, their team has a Finger, they have a Clockwork, and they have Tinker. All heroes that crush Terrorblade. Now, if these guys set up properly, they could easily kill him. Of course, you are there to protect him. What's important to note, instead of actually sitting there and protecting him, what can you do to pseudo-protect him? That would be set up vision right here. Go. You put a ward right here, or you put one right here, something like that. Even here, doesn't matter. And then maybe a lane ward if you want, something like that. And then what you do, because he can see everyone, you let the Terrorblade push in the lane with illusions, because that's safe for him. And then he just auto attacks the jungle creeps. Pushes in lane with neutrals, auto attacks with main hero, and then you guys go top. Because you're top, the enemy team will feel the need to go top, right? They'll want to respond, basically. If you're running at their Terrorblade, if you're running at their DK, and you black hole them, and then they TP late, not only can you kill more of them with like your Zeus rotating in, but you will force them all away from the Terrorblade, and the Terrorblade, seeing that they all go top, can easily take the bottom tier 1 tower. And it's very important to note that the Terrorblade should be like jungling with his hero and pushing in with delusions. Otherwise, they can just set up and kill him, and then all your efforts going top are not really worth it. Alright, your Ursa gets Aegis. Kind of a weird build. Actually, a very bad build, to be perfectly honest. It's not very good to go like no phase boots on Ursa, especially when you have the potential to have a good lane. Like, he should be rushing phase boots and Orb of Venom against DK in lane. DK just stun a creep. Alright. Oh, they should be killing the Tinker. Alright, nice. This is good. But see what I... Okay, so basically this is like what needed to happen top a while ago, where you guys are pretty strong as 4, because you have a Blink Enigma, you have a pretty strong Ursa. Like, it's a good Ursa game, basically. And you can just react and go on the DK top. Like, if you guys show up there and smoke there, you pick up a DK kill, and look what happens. Like, they all start moving top. Now, because your TB is pushing in the lane with this hero, they're more likely to go down there, which is not the end of the world, right? Once again, you kill the DK top, and they start running top. And then what happens? Your TB gets a lot of space. So this is, like, pretty good what you guys are doing right now. Like, generally the right idea. Your TB could be a lot more efficient with his like, illusion usage. Basically, he should be, the fact that he's not using illusions right now is just not good. But yeah, what I would like to see you guys do is continue looking to make plays top, and just continue to force them away from your Terror Blade. Even if, like, you don't have to go dive, you don't have to go kill them, you don't have to be psychos, unless you feel like you're strong enough to do that. Sometimes you can just be in the area. I thought this was their core. Alright, looks like TB's TPing in. This is kind of meh. I don't think, like, you guys don't want this to be the case. Yeah, alright, so now TB's in this awkward spot where if they invade the jungle, he has nowhere to farm. So this is not good, right? Because you don't want your dazzle. You're pretty strong right now. Max Poison Touch, super scary, pretty high level Shadow Wave. You guys don't want... This is not how you should be fighting. Basically, what you need to be doing right now is... Oh, he's dead. Sorry. But what you guys were doing is fine, right? You could just farm this area, like let one hero push in mid, and if they go on him, whatever, he dies. But basically, you let someone push in mid. Oh, blink. And you, like, defend this area with your heroes, but instead you leave on the dazzle, and your Terror Blade comes instead, and then blink. Oh, blink. But instead what ends up happening is your Terror Blade gets forced into here, and now he stops farming, right? This net worth potential lead you had on Terror Blade, by him just pushing in bottom constantly, and then maybe even taking this tower if the Tinker leaves, could have been heavily... Like, you were on good pace, right? You guys kind of started to do the right thing, where you force in the top lane, you force fights here, or you don't need force fights, but you just kind of react, and you push them away from you, because they're a little bit stronger, right? Tinker's quite strong, Clockwork's strong right now. You guys, Blink Enigma is kind of meh, only because you're not really that tanky. I'd rather see him have, like, a Dominator, so that he can tank, like, Cogs damage or a mech or something like that. Even the Ursa, he's kind of weak right now, kind of. He could buy a wand maybe, and that would make him quite a bit stronger, but that's not really the point. Basically, now you guys fall into this issue where you're all farming the same part of the map, and now Terror Blade is, like, gonna start... What? I don't know what I just watched, but just a little mistake, no big deal, of course. Oh boy. This looks like a bad fight to me. You guys are probably gonna die. They need to just go in, dude. Your team's a bunch of... It's no Sunder. Yeah. Kind of wasted Sunder earlier, unfortunately. Okay, this is going alright. You know, not terrible, but basically, okay, let me explain like a team idea here where you guys, cause it's hard for me to like talk about individually what you're doing as a support this game. Basically, it's more of a team concept, and if you want me to comment individually on support, definitely let me know after you watch this. I'll say a few things here and there, but you guys, you could have just let the TB push in this lane, and then what happens if they dive you here? They all get low, and then the TB's like halfway into the fight and just cleans them all up. He gets massive. He will get massive, absolutely huge, right? If they just run into you, you have the like Ursa tank some damage. Maybe they even go on Zeus. Why is he buying a Lincoln's? That's not good. Basically, if they go on you in the top side, TB can continue farming bottom, maybe get the tower. He'll just rack up farm because he's pushing in lane and jungling. Just like a really nice mix of lane and jungle. And then when a fight breaks out and everyone gets low, he TP's in, cleans them up, raises his net worth that way. That's how you want to play around a TP, hero like TP for the most part, right? It's just like a great way to give them free farm. Basically, you push pressure the opposite lane that he is in. You don't stay by him. Like him even TPing early, I didn't like. He basically forced you guys to take an engagement by showing up early. Instead, you guys should just be like protecting your area. If you feel like you're weaker, you protect your area. If you're stronger, you play up farther right here, right? Otherwise, you're just protecting here. You get up some wards, or you can ward here, you can ward this hill. And if they try to do anything, then you just kill them. Alright, he's dead. At this point in the game, it's pretty hard for you guys, because, I don't know, you need, like, BKB Enigma. He went Hood. I don't really like this. He needs a BKB at this point, to be honest. Only because a lot of these fights rely on this black hole at this point. I like that Ursa's buying a BKB before Basher. That's good. Let me go back to player perspective. Okay. Yeah, okay, so at this point, what I would recommend you guys do, for the most part, is you just need to be able to let your cores get their core items. Like, you need a BKB on TB, BKB on Ursa, BKB on Enigma, and like even BKB on Zeus. He shouldn't be going Lincolns, but that's just a side note. And then what you can do is take the hard lane, and like, who cares if they kill you, right? Basically, you can be this just like decoy of space, where if your team wants to farm like, can I draw on this map? No. But if your team wants to follow, see my cursor on the minimap, like farm this area, maybe even like this area if TB is cutting the waves, which he should be cutting waves, but he's not. That's fine. But that's a more advanced mechanic. But if your team wants to farm here, then basically what you could do, you just sit in the trees and you just shadow wave the wave. Shadow wave, poison touch the wave. And obviously you don't want to get charged right away, so you should try to do it out of vision. And just keep pushing in this lane. If they gank you, they show heroes, your other heroes are safe. If they don't gank you, you get a ton of farm. And maybe they'll look for one of your other teammates you could TP and help. But you can kind of act as a decoy. Like in games where it's hard and you're behind and you have to make space, sometimes you have to put yourself in dangerous positions. Like right here, I'd rather just see you bottom pushing in this lane if no one's going to do it. Like you don't care if you die, and it would force them to react and show some heroes, which would make your teams feel a lot more comfortable. All right, let's skip ahead. Is DK abandoned? Why aren't they pausing? Oh boy, Ursa's going in deep. Yeah, there's not too much to talk about in this game at this point. The best thing you guys can do is like bait your TB potentially once he gets his BKB. Because, okay, even Ursa, you could just like have Ursa push in a lane, and if they jump him, then you guys look for the Tinker in the back lines with your like Zeus ult. That's one play you can make. I'll set it up like just so basically Ursa pushes in this lane, you guys smoke behind him, they jump him, Ursa BKBs. You jump the back lines, hopefully get a good black hole. Zeus finds the Tinker, or TB finds the Tinker, and then the fight's a lot better. Alright, looks like they're DK. Did you guys win this game because this DK disconnect? You do. Wow. Okay. Huh. Yeah, but you guys definitely, to be honest, you should have lost this game. A little bit sloppy. Obviously, I'm not trying to flame you, but their farmed hero did disconnect. Their initiator, I should say. One of their initiators. They have a lot of initiation. They have too much initiation, actually. Okay, I like your 4-step pickup here. To talk about item build, once again, I like that you have the smokes. You don't have to buy all 3 right away, but this is fine. I don't really care. As long as you buy them. You should be buying more sentry wards, basically, to check these hills and secure the farming areas. Basically, what you want to do is check all the places where if they did smoke and place a ward, then you could deward them and make sure your TB doesn't get ganked in the jungle. They might not do it because I don't know how high level of a game this is, but still, it's important to note that. And then, also, I don't like arcane boots, really. I know people buy them, but for the most part, I'm not a huge fan of them. In addition, if you are really looking to carry on Dazzle, not carry, but have a ton of impact, you actually can rush Necromonicon 1. Don't upgrade it, but it might sound stupid, but you can play very greedy, as I was talking about. Alright, your Zeus should not be leading a gank. Oh, shit. Alright, don't have your Zeus lead ganks. That's like Smoke Gank 101. Basically, you want your Ursa or your Terrorblade to lead the gank. One of those two. Probably Ursa, actually. And definitely Ursa. Because he has Blink Basher. You don't want your Zeus walking up. That's just not logical. In the sense that like he can get bursted. You want him pumping out damage from the back. This Terrorblade needs to tank these rockets. Alright. Alright, I mean, you guys kind of win because their DK disconnects, but, I mean, that's alright. Oh god, these rockets. Oh. Yeah, but as I was saying, instead of going like mana boots, you could basically, you always want, you could instead just buy a few clarities here and there, and then, you could even go into something greedy like Necrobook and Scale. I don't know if I have an exact game, but basically how I like to play 5, and I'm just gonna quickly show you a replay of like how I enjoy playing 5 instead. Let's see if I can find it. Is this it? Yeah, so this is how I like to play 5. I'm just gonna speed through this, but showing you like a greedier take on position 5, because Dota doesn't always have to be like this sacrificial support role. You don't have to be the guy just chilling in the back, throwing out heals, tanking all the deaths. That's just like, I think that's somewhat of a misconception on Dota, like as a support role, that you're just like this guy banking on his carries to make the right plays. It doesn't have to be like that. You actually can farm a lot of the time. Like you can become a core, and that's what I do this game. Now, of course, this is one of my better heroes, but let's just speed through. Once again, I'm buying stat items. I don't have enough gold for a sentry ward. Actually, I mean, with these items I do, but as Prophet, I like to be able to trade. Right? I like to be kind of like a scary hero. All right, this is a joke. Don't do that. It isn't a friend game. Now here, I'm just gonna zone out, thumb them out, skip ahead. This doesn't matter too much. More matters in the mid game. Right? Once again, this is what I talked about. I can't crush this lane. I'm not gonna completely zone them out. So what do? I stack, pull. Oh, I believe I missed it. Oh no, I'm a psycho. For some reason I went for a triple stack. You don't have to triple stack. It was something I actually want to try out, so I triple stacked. But I'm using my treants to help my lifestealer. I'm giving him free farm, right? Obviously it's a lifestealer, not a Terrorblade, so it's a little bit easier to do this. But this whole wave dies. I pull, I kill an entire wave. They lose a whole wave of XP. And then I do it again. Simple as that. I killed 2 whole waves. They lost 2 entire creep waves. Look how simple this is. Alright, now they're underleveled. My Terrorblade is, my Lifestealer is 4.5. They're 3, just barely 3. Wind Ranger's level 2. Like, do you see how nuts that is? I'm level 2.5. Like, And now I pick up boots. I buy the ward. I pick up a clarity because I feel like it needed. Yeah, but you see how effective that polling is. I basically give my carry like the game of his life. This guy at 5 minutes in is like nearly the same level as our mid laner, I believe. All right, 1 level behind, but you get the point. Always, you don't have to do this triple stack. Double stack is fine. But then, like, even though I'm sacrificing myself, I'll show you how I kind of come back into this game. We're even behind on net worth, but once again, like here, I TP mid just to pick up some farm. I don't really care. And now that I give my lifestealer completely free lane, he doesn't need my help anymore, and I go jungle, right? This might seem selfish, but in solo queue and in low rank games, it doesn't matter. You don't have to always be in the lane. You can just farm instead. Now here, I pick up a kill right on the Tinker. That's a big deal for me. Obviously, this is profit and being like able to do these type of things, but you could make these play on your support, right? Because not every support can farm jungle. This is kind of why I like to play profit instead. But if even a hero like Dazzle actually is very good at farming jungle, he's one of the better 5s at actually farming. I would say he's up there with profit. Like profit and Dazzle are 2 of my favorites because they can just farm. Like they're 2 supports that are extremely efficient at killing creeps. And now, even though I sacrificed myself super hard in terms of levels, with being able to pick up a kill and jungling, I get my ult at 9 minutes. 9-minute ult on profit. That's a huge deal. It's like having bad juju this early. I have 25 CS, right? This is like higher than most cores. Obviously, this is super greedy, but it doesn't matter, right? Like, look where I am on CS. Almost the same as their offlaner. See how greedy this is? But who cares? My lifestealer is huge. Their Mars is level 4. Level 4. This doesn't happen. Look how many deaths this guy has. 0. 0 deaths. My lifestealer has 0 kills. 0. And he is 3 levels up. 3. 12 denies. That is not. It's not like he has 30 denies. It's because I denied multiple creep waves. Right off the bat. All comes down to the pulling. And now I show up, pick up another kill. And right now I'm scaling. 10 minutes in, I have a medallion, wand, boots. So much farm this early. And I'm a high level, right? Level 7. And a lot of prophets max their teleport, but I don't care. I'm going to scale, you know. I'm going to become a macho prophet. I'm going to be a man. Now that I'm a high level, I can easily take the tower. Once again, I'm just doing so much to keep up my farm. Here I died. I could have TP'd out, I think. That was kind of a misplay. But it's beside the point. I have 20 armor. This hero's nuts. 20 armor. 20. Now, because I'm that guy, I block camps. You don't really have to do this, but I had a ton of wards. Sometimes it's hard to, like... You didn't see that. But sometimes it's hard to actually just like get wards down all the time if you're being so active and jungling so much. Like if you're playing this greedy. This is why you don't typically play greedy, or you won't see pros play greedy, because you can't really ward if you're you can't really ward if you're spending so much time farming. But what's important to note is that like now I block their camps. Like this is something cheeky you can do when you're against a hero like Tinker who relies so heavily on this. Don't do that. That gives away that there's a ward. This is a party queue game, so I wasn't like full serious, but you know I was super serious in a lot of the aspects. All right, now of course I block all of his camps. This is slightly overkill, but it does kind of grief the Tinker in some sort. And now at 15 minutes, I have 1 medallion phase boots. Very, very farm rate. 51 CS, quite high. Even their supports are actually pretty farmed. I don't know. It seems like they did a pretty good job like distributing farm. My Earth Spirit is actually quite underfarmed, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, it's like one of the lowest. Even their Weaver's super farm, but even though I'm greedy, like look, being greedy doesn't always have to take away your farm from your cores. Right, like my Storm lost his lane. Doom did well. Doom did very well, actually. I can't. But I gave Lifestealer completely free game. Like, simply by pulling. Even though I'm a hero like Prophet who can win the lane by using Treants, Treants got nerfed level 1 as it is. And you can do this on any support. You don't have to be Prophet to pull like this. It's very simple. I'm securing kills. But the basics were that I just pulled. Basically, I spent a lot of time pulling. In the early waves, and then I jungled camps simply because I could. And now I'm pushing in lanes. Like my team's top, I don't care. I'm gonna push in some lanes. I'm gonna jungle some camps, and I'll show up if needed, right? Some good spellcasting method. Ah. Right. This is just kind of how you snowball, which is why I like Prophet. You can just play like this, where basically you pull the early waves and then you just jungle to catch up. Maybe show up to some kills. Just yoinking kills here and there, right? Once again, pushing in lanes, farming, jungle camp. Troll grease my farming patterns. Frick this guy. This guy does no damage to me. That's their hard carry. See, like, you can get to the point, and, like, people say you can't carry support, but it's just not true. There comes my ult. I'm everywhere, dude. I'm everywhere. But the point is, I'm literally more farmed than all of their cores as a position 5. And that is not to say that I haven't bought the wards, right? I have bought the wards. I bought 12 wards in 4 centuries this game. Maybe that's not that much, but it was also a short game. So, like, I hope you get the point, though, where, like, you don't have to be this, like, passive support. You can push in waves, but also the most important thing is about the jungling, as I was talking about. So, hopefully this all helped. And, yeah, definitely let me know what you think about all this. If this is confusing, of course, let me know. And, yeah, peace.